This video was recorded on the 12th of September 2017 in Guatemala. What you're looking at is the moon on the right, and as you can see on the left, you see a little point of light. What that is, apparently, is a planet. However, you should not be able to see a planet in the daytime light. Well, a few of you, like myself, may have thought maybe you could see Venus, maybe you could see Mercury. Here's the problem. As you can notice, the moon is at a half moon. That means that the moon is at a 90-degree angle from the sun. That would bring this image that you're looking at. If you were standing facing the sun, you would have to turn 90 degrees to the right in order to film this. There is no planet that is visible in the daytime that is visible at a 90-degree turn from the sun. The only time you can possibly see a planet is first thing in the morning or late at night, right at sunset, and you can possibly see Venus or Mercury. But at a 90-degree turn away from the sun, it is impossible. So what we're looking at here is this video was recorded on the 12th of September 2017 in Guatemala. What you're looking at is the moon on the right, and as you can see on the left, you see a little point of light. What that is, apparently, is a planet. A little point of light. However, you should not be able to see a planet in the daytime light. Well, a few of you, like myself, may have thought maybe you could see Venus, maybe you could see Mercury. Here's the problem. As you can notice, the moon is at a half moon. That means that the moon is at a 90-degree angle from the sun. That would bring this image that you're looking at. If you were standing facing the sun, you would have to turn 90 degrees to the right in order to film this. There is no planet that is visible in the daytime that is visible at a 90-degree turn from the sun. The only time you can possibly see a planet is first thing in the morning or late at night, right at sunset, and you can possibly see Venus or Mercury. But at a 90-degree turn away from the sun, it is impossible. So what we're looking at here is something that's never been seen before, a visible planet in the daytime. And what planet this is, it's not one of our planets. It's something new. Now what you're looking at here is a zoomed in and slowed down ×10 with no stabilization image of the suspect planet. The object does seem to have a round, lit look to it. It also looks to potentially have some other things around it, maybe, that are reflecting light. Next, what you're looking at here is a posterized version of the video. It basically separates the intensity of the light fields of where there's light, and you can see different little specks popping up around the main center as it goes through each frame here. Just an alternative way to look at this suspect planet. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a modified negative of the images of the suspect planet. Just want to take a look at some various different ways to analyze this. So you haven't heard me use the words Uburu, Planet X, or anything like that, Wormwood, or any of those names that would go along with this subject of a planet in the sky. And the reason why I'm not using those words is because I have no more information than what I'm showing you here to indicate to me that this is any more than what I am speculating, which is a possible planet, an object that, well, one, we know it's not Venus, we know it's not Mercury, we know it's not Mars, and it ain't sure ain't Earth. So we know it's not those things. We know it's not a satellite. We know it's not, well, that's about it. And we then have to speculate what it may be. Well, everything else that is in the sky like that is either a star or a planet. Right? Maybe a comet, maybe an asteroid just coming straight at us. Could be an asteroid, could be a planet. If it's an asteroid, it's coming straight at us. If it's a planet, it may or may not be coming straight at us because the distance that it would be from us at this point, because of its size compared to the moon, and we don't know the size of it to start with. The pinpoint size of it would indicate there's a huge distance still at the moment between us and it. Could it be a star, meaning a sun, another, like the binary sun, like Nemesis? I don't see anything that makes it look like that it's projecting light, particularly. It looks more like it's reflecting light. I could be wrong. I'm just using my logical mind to deduce what we are looking at here. However, I do want your input as to what you see and what you think. None of us may be perfectly right, but that doesn't make us wrong, because we're simply speculating as to what this potential planet in the sky is. So now, with that being said, if you will please, from what I've calculated, where this object would be when all of us get up, no matter whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, if you would go out in the morning time with a digital camcorder, and the sun will be rising on the left and it will be up pretty good in the sky. The moon will be to the right and it will be setting. It won't be set, but it will be heading towards setting, maybe more than halfway across the sky. I would say that this object is to the south and not straight up, but it would be mid-sky and off to the south, so lowered down into the southern sky some, but not substantially. And I've based this off of just all the calculations of where I know the moon's at, where I know the sun's at. This is broad daylight that this video was done, and the fact at the very end of this video you'll see a little clip that will show you the when he zooms out and you can see the building that he is filming up against, it gives you a few more perspectives to consider. And so with all of that together, I logically deduce I want you to go out with your cameras. I want you to film to the south. I want you to find the moon in the sky, find the sun in the sky, and go in the middle, just below the middle. The sun will likely be maybe a little bit higher in the sky than the moon. But go right in the middle between the sun and the moon there and start looking for this object. You may need to zoom in a little bit in order to even see the object. With the camcorder, I suspect that's the case. You may be able to see this object naked eye, but worst case, zoom in. Even if you don't see anything, film real good, try to come up with a pattern so that you know you're covering all of the sky. Move very calculated, very slowly, and cover all of the sky in between the sun and the moon. Then I want you to go back and view that on your big screen TV or wherever you can. And I want you to email me at logicbeforeauthority@gmail and let me know what you see. If you can, I'd love for you to send that video to me. If you do catch this suspect planet or anything else like this, and you would like for it to be on my channel, I'd be happy to post it on here as a follow-up to this video. So I challenge you all to go out and do this tomorrow. If you can't do it in the morning, if the sky is cloudy, if there's too many chemtrails, whatever the case may be, do it the first morning possible. This is urgent before we lose the position of this object in the sky.
Good evening. I'm Scott Binsack. It is August. August. I have so much stuff to say, so I apologize. September 13th, 2017. What I'm going to say to you tonight, I'm going to ask you to really, really listen. Things have gotten bad, and they're going to get worse. I'm not going to speculate like he is on what that is. I'm going to tell you for the past 5 nights, the moon as it rises on the east coast of the United States, when it shows its face, is blood red. And as it rises, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. That's because I fully believe the Nemesis system is here. I believe Nibiru is here. And I believe we're going to see it more and more from today forward. The acute weather around the planet, the oceans receding, and no, when there's no hurricane around. And images like this. This is the current image of our jet stream on the planet. It is acutely erratic, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tons of hurricanes, typhoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fukushima is going to get blasted with a Cat 2 or higher. Volcanoes are erupting around the world. Earthquakes that the USGS is not recording or pushing off the California area, when in fact they are in the California area. Our jet stream does not look like this. It's been getting like this and more erratic and erratic as the magnetic poles are shifting, and they will reverse. They will reverse. And that's not an equatorial equator shift, that's a magnetic pole shift. And I'm going to get into that a little later. That video I started my show out is from Guatemala. Way down by the equator. Near the equator. That is as clear as day. I don't know how to stress this enough. And there's more for me to say tonight. FEMA zones have been activated already from Harvey, Irma. Caribbean is completely destroyed pretty much. I've been going out to Nevada now for the past year and change, and more recently, almost every other week. There have been UN troops training in the Nevada area and even staying at a hotel that I stay at because they have no room for them. Because you want to know why? There's thousands of them, and thousands of them UN troops in Nevada. The military has been strategically, for the past few years, strategically placing equipment all over the United States, including UN vehicles. Not made up. Jade Helm, not made up. I'm going to go through something that has now come to my attention. I'm going to play this video first for you to understand what storm systems are happening. And more so, it's not about the storms, it's about the erratic jet stream that I'm showing you here. And I'm being very, very serious tonight. I'm serious all the time, but very, very serious tonight because people need to understand that this is very real. This is very, very real. And I'll put my name on the line for it. I haven't been off yet, pretty much. And it's not September 23rd. That is the big key date when we get into some biblical prophecy that has to do with planets aligning and the like. This has to do with October. Jade Helm was a massive training exercise carried out in Texas and other states for martial law in the United States. You can Google it. This information is out there for everyone. I invite people to do their own homework on what I say and what others say. There's a lot of disinformation going on as well, and that's the way they want it. This is going to get very serious, and it's not just about weather. It has to do with bacterial, virus. Okay? And some other information that has now come to light.
Wednesday, September 13th, 3:20 Mountain Time, 2017. Quick update on the global scene with respect to hurricanes. Above the equator, there are going to be multiple hurricanes make landfall, potentially make landfall. I guess a lot of this is subject to change, as we've learned. And we very well know that all of this could change. But right now, I think Fukushima is going to take a direct hit from at least a Category 1. Later on this weekend, possibly the first part of next week. This is the 15th, and you can see the storm right here as a Category 1. Step it forward to Saturday, the 16th, still a Category 1 storm. The 17th, it's right over central Japan as a Category 1 hurricane. And that is on Sunday.
I'm going to tell you now, besides this hurricane, Japan is getting hit with earthquakes, and it's going to get hit with a massive one. I will probably even predict and say that I believe Japan will probably be underwater in less than 6 months from major catastrophic events. And I'm not joking. I hope I'm wrong.
The 17th. Now back over here to the Atlantic, and then I want to take you to the Gulf of California. A lot going on in the next week to 10 days. Jose, I want to show you the spaghetti models. I've updated this 3 times today. Each time I've updated it, the models are moving more and more towards the East Coast. You have now 1, 2 that are making a direct landfall.
Manhattan.
In the upper Northeast near New Jersey, New York, and Boston. This model here is turning in towards the Chesapeake Bay. This model here is coming in and barely, well, almost touching North or South Carolina, and then looping back out and up. And
do you want to know why this is erratically changing on the models? Because you ever seen a storm like Harvey and this one just keep doing complete turns? They just complete turn around and go whomp, and they stay there because they're geo-feeding these storms, and they're going to decide. They're deciding right now what to do with this storm, whether to feed it and turn it into a monster and have it crush New York, or spit it out to sea. And if they can get the weather pattern correct to do it, meaning with HARP and other technology to do this, along with cloud seeding, etc.
and into New Jersey.
Microwaves as well.
As a whole, there's probably 50% of these models leaning towards the left. The other 50%, actually less, are going to the right. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. This hurricane, the models are leaning towards a possible landfall. But that's subject to change. You see 2 more systems down here. They're not named.
They're
just
coming.
tropical depressions. They're trying to get organized. And if you look closely, you'll see a third just coming off of the western coast of Africa. This is the 17th, Sunday. Let's step it forward another day. And this is a Canadian model. Shows it up in, talking about Jose, near Maine, just off the coast of Boston. That's on Monday the 18th. And you've got 1, 2, 3 other storms churning out in the Atlantic Ocean. And yet another wave that has just came off the coast of Africa. That's how Irma started. Actually, Irma was organized right here. So that's just something to watch. But watch these other 2 systems join forces with Jose, according to this model. Keep your eye on the Gulf.
What's it do? Join forces with Jose. You ever seen a movie called The Perfect Storm? Remember that movie?
California, as it goes across the northern Atlantic. It reminds me something of like the movie Today After...
The Day After Tomorrow. Yeah, sorry, not The Perfect Storm, but it's still The Perfect Storm.
One big giant storm over North America and over northern Europe. That's kind of what, I've always thought, if these storms ever all found each other and formed one big storm, you'd have a scenario just like that. But anyway, here's Jose. Monday the 18th. Let's step it forward another day. Now it's moving to the right, headed towards the North Atlantic on Tuesday. Into Wednesday, moves forward more towards the North Atlantic off the coast of Newfoundland. Watch these 2 storms here. Now I can only go forward 2 more days, but this is what the models are showing. These are migrating towards Jose to form what appears to be one big storm.
Boom!
Thursday the 21st, and then Friday the 22nd. You can see how they're migrating.
And then they head to Europe.
Jose to form a big storm with winds of near 93 miles per hour. I can't go ahead another day, but you can tell that's the direction that they are heading. So I think those forces all are going to join to make one.
And 2 more down in here.
Now we've got 2 more waves coming off of the coast of Africa. One already at 80 miles per hour, sustained. This one is the one that concerns me. With 71 mile an hour sustained winds right off of the coast of Africa, and it does look like it's getting a defined eye. Granted, this is many days out, but if that holds true to form, this one here is the one to watch. Okay? This one, yeah, it could. This one here is the one I would watch, right here. Now, to the Gulf of California. This is Saturday the 16th. Got a storm in the Pacific
The
off the coast of
16th.
Mexico. Strong, Category 3 I think it gets up to Category 4. Let's step it ahead to Sunday the 17th.
Boom!
Now we're up in the Gulf of California, right off of the coast, the west coast of Mexico. That's a Category 3. Goes into the Gulf of California.
Warms up.
Still a Cat 3.
Look at that.
For now. Now it's a Category 4.
Because it warmed up.
That's a populated area too. Not mistaken.
Yep. It could come right up and rack California.
Yeah. In fact, there's quite a few people there. Some outlying communities, a lot of farms. They could get a lot of rain. Anyway, this is Sunday the 17th at 5 p.m., 8 p.m.
Boom.
Landfall as a Category 4.
Category 4. Keeps warming up.
Landfall as a Category, 150?
Yep. 149, 151.
That's
matches the same numbers of Irma.
And that's on Sunday the 17th. This is subject to change, but this is what the models are showing right now based off of atmospheric conditions. Making landfall Monday the 18th, and then starting to subside, but still sustained of 149 mile per hour. That's a strong storm, guys. Then it quickly degrades 3 hours later, making landfall at a terrible time, 2 a.m. Total darkness as a strong Category 3, maybe, actually that's a strong Category 4. Step it forward 3 hours, and then you can see the strength is dissipated. Like Hurricane Patricia, that's what that reminds me of. Remember Hurricane Patricia last October set a world record for wind speed in that same general area, western Mexico. Here is the storm. I remember it because it came in second with the lowest millibars ever
Super
recorded.
typhoon.
872.
Monster storm.
An insanely strong storm. Winds of 215 miles per hour. It could have been a catastrophic situation. But the mountains of that area actually broke the storm apart rather quickly. This one here is doing the same thing. And then it goes on up into, I think, southern New Mexico as a tropical depression. If it even gets that far, it just kind of breaks apart. But a lot going on in the northern hemisphere above the equator in the next 8 days. Again, all of this is subject to change. Some, maybe a lot, but we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like to me, this Jose, I've been keeping a close eye on these models. Even this one is leaning more towards the states, more stateside than it is out in the Atlantic. But we'll have to wait and see. Definitely keep a close eye on the situation. The storm over here on the western Mexico side is entering some very warm waters, so I fully expect that one, if it does materialize, to be a very strong storm. Jose leaning inland. Big heads up. Thanks for watching, guys, and be safe out there.
That's just the hurricanes, i.e. typhoons, whatever you want to call them. Just the hurricanes, not the earthquakes or the volcanoes or tornadoes or anything going on with our sun. Now I'm going to bring you some other information. And you need to read it as it scrolls on the screen, because this is just breaking now. And I can go, when we go through the reading of this, please read it, okay? I can confirm what's true in the story and what's not, but a lot of it is true, okay? Forget about who posted it, okay? Doesn't matter. I want you to read what is going to be scrolling above my head, okay? Pay attention, my friends in the PA area. Following the breadcrumb trail of FEMA orders, retired State Senator Sheldon R. Songstad of South Dakota State issued an emergency FEMA Region 3 alert on August 13th. Now, people say August 13th. Well, pay attention. Region 3 is comprised of Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. Okay? Now, I can confirm even the first part, UN troops on U.S. soil. I can confirm the ordering of the antibiotics and the rest. So now I want you to just read this. Collective facts may be worthy of your attention and scrutiny. The U.S. government appears to be preparing for a major event. I and many others, and yourselves, everybody keeps feeling that something big is coming. I believe it's more than just the weather. I believe it's not just about Nibiru and Planet X, aka Planet X. This has to do with government resources and what they've done and where they have been placing things and what's going on. I can confirm UN peacekeepers began training the 4th week of July in Nevada and will complete their 9-week training by October 1st. They are learning English as well as U.S. weapon systems and urban warfare training. Now, right there. The Center of Disease Control ordered 11 million worth of antibiotics. True. Where are they going? FEMA Region 3. When are they due? October 1st. Remember I kept telling you I think something's coming October 16th? I'm just giving you that, not by information. I keep seeing the numbers 10-16, 10-16, 10-16. I know that sounds crazy, but this coupled with the fact that the World Health Organization held an emergency meeting, its second such meeting in its history, to discuss MERS, M-E-R-S, coronavirus. The WHO determined that a vaccine must be in place by October 1st. Pay attention. Might I remind you, during the eclipse, NASA was testing the release of bacteria in the air, in space. And no one could figure out the real reason why. All across the United States, NASA released bacteria into our atmosphere. Pay attention. Fact. I'm going to back that up. Periodic testing of the GPS and communication satellites is normal, but coordinating their testing for the first time ever with a testing date of when? September 29th is noteworthy. This is true. They are carrying out a test on September 29th of all the GPS and community satellites, completely, everyone we have. Before this switches up for whatever reason as it strolls, all DHS, Department of Homeland Security agents must now qualify with a sidearm, shotgun, and AR-15s by when? September 28th. Less lethal qualifications are not mentioned. Has one eyebrow raised? The DHS will receive, let me see if we can get it to play to where it doesn't disappear. They will receive MRAPs, okay? Thousands of them. Mine-resistant MRAPs, okay? That's what's been being shipped on train cars all around by the military to all different Homeland Security locations. There are photos that have come in and video of people videoing them on train cars, not just in California, but in other locations. So this can be confirmed as well. All National Guard units will complete their annual 2-week training in what? Riot control and disaster assistance. All units must have their training complete by when? September 30th. However, the Eastern-based Coast Guard units will not be performing their usual training in the Gulf this year. They will be training where? FEMA Zone 3, Virginia and Delaware for 10 days beginning September 26th. Coincidentally, the emergency broadcast system will begin daily testing beginning on September 25th through October 2nd. All of this kind of reminds me of the bomb-sniffing dogs being trained at the Boston Marathon for the first time ever when the bombs exploded. FEMA purchase orders deserve a little attention too. They ordered over $14.2 million for MREs and heater meals and 22 million pouches of emergency water to be delivered to the Region 3 by when? October 1st. The CIA and other key Washington divisions have been moved to where? Colorado. Right underneath the Denver, right in the vicinity of the Denver airport, where our government's main access, that's not where it is, the access to massive underground cities. They have completed a new White House completely made out of concrete in the cost of up of $100 million in the Ozarks. I might want to add that as well. An additional order of $13.6 million worth of MREs and heater meals will be delivered to where? Austin by October 1st. Now pay attention, it gets better. Our U.S. military will not be permitted leave from September 28th through November 5th. NORCOM, yearly training for civil unrest, is suspended until September 27th to be performed in the northeast coastal areas. Date for release, QE3 report has moved to where? Look at the date. October 16th. October 16th. I'm getting goosebumps. And someone just sent this to me that I deal with, that they found it floating on the internet, and it's now been, many YouTubers are pushing this, and each of these different items that are in this, so I said forget who posted it, are verified. And it's not done yet. Is everybody paying attention yet? You still here? Because every one of those things in there is verified. I'm not done yet. I keep seeing the numbers. October 16th, October 16th, October 16th, 10/16, 10/16, 1/16, 10/16. Wait. Not done. Over 300 school systems will be issued a 3-day emergency kit for each student in September. The retired senator's national preparedness research was sparked by a comment Donald Trump made during a recent appearance on Fox News. On the record with Greta Van Susteren, Songstad included a video version of his findings with his notice. His video has gone viral. Fact. How concerned should you be? Or perhaps the question is, how prepared should we be? Perhaps the answer is better prepared. Now, if we go back to the video I just showed you from yesterday in Guatemala, that this new planetary system is now clear to the eye, during the day, and not at sunset or sunrise in the skies, and it was definitely, and I'm going to say it, that is the Nibiru system. I'm not going to speculate, because I know. I can't tell you how, I just know. And the facts of just taking in so many facts for so long, and all the reports, and after speaking with Dr. Claudia Alberts last night and Scott from Planet X News, they're coming to the same conclusion. Scott is to the same conclusion that I am. Now you need to add the political, FEMA, and governmental preparedness into that, and these two massive hurricanes, biblical hurricanes, that we now have FEMA and Marines in strategic locations, especially for the state of Texas and Florida, both gun-owning states, major gun-owning states. And we have Marines there on the ground. Jose could slam New York. Good possibility. Earthquakes are rocketing up again. I'm sure you're all Googling the facts and what I just presented to you. Believe me, they're there. I don't believe in coincidences. There's no such thing. I've tried to warn people for a very, very long time. Not just about Planet X, but our government. I tried to warn you all about Trump, too. I'm not done yet.
They're answering the call of God. They're answering the call of God.
We're not identifying this former ISIS recruit who's speaking out for the first time, revealing how he was radicalized online, left his suburban Toronto family, and in 2014 slipped into Syria with the help of ISIS supporters.
We basically crawled under broken parts of the border and just ran in.
As an 18-year-old recruit, he was paid $70 a month to patrol the streets of Mandaj in Aleppo to enforce Sharia law.
We enforced on cigarettes and alcohol and drugs. We'd enforce on mixing of women and men.
He claims he never harmed anyone, but did witness ISIS brutalizing Muslims regularly, lashings, and worse.
There was also beheadings too, but that was for higher crimes, for crimes that against the religion itself, against the people, against ISIS itself.
5 months in, he says he realized it was a huge mistake.
I felt like I violated the religion.
He told his parents where he was and what he'd done.
My dad told me it's not my war to fight.
He fled ISIS and surrendered to security forces at the Turkish border. Last year, he finally returned to Canada, and now he's undergoing de-radicalization counseling from Mubin Sheikh, the former CSIS agent who helped expose the so-called Toronto 18 terror cell.
If we can, quote-unquote, get one of their guys back on our side, it's a great victory.
But Sheikh says it could take years, and in the meantime, the former recruit has been interrogated by both the RCMP and CSIS, but he's not been charged with joining a terror group. This security analyst says there may be no point in prosecuting someone who can't be linked directly to violence.
If we haven't got anything that indicates to the contrary, then there should be no need to try and go that that route of criminalization.
Still, the recruit knows many are suspicious.
Canadians shouldn't see me as a threat because of the reason I grew up with them, and Canada has a huge role in what I am now too.
Neither the federal government nor the RCMP would comment on this case specifically. CSIS estimates about 60 Canadians have returned to this country after joining foreign terror groups. Many are being monitored. Few have been charged. John Lancaster, CBC News.
Syria, 28 civilians have been killed in 2 separate airstrikes in the eastern province of Deir el-Zor. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a US-led coalition killed 12 members of a single family, including 5 children. Meanwhile, 16 civilians, including 5 children, were killed in a Russian airstrike, which supported a separate government offensive against ISIL.
Attention now to the Philippines, where a tropical storm has killed at least 3 people and left half a dozen missing in and around the capital city, Manila. While the storm is moving at just 15 kilometers per hour, but it's causing widespread flooding and has forced schools, government offices, and businesses to shut down. Local governments had ordered the evacuation of residents from
Philippines. Pow! Hit. Massive flooding.
low-lying, coastal, and landslide-prone areas.
And from one weather extreme to another, in California, residents there are feeling the heat. This week alone, thousands of lightning bolts lit up the sky in the southern part of the state, sparking more fires. This as many cities.
Thousands of lightning bolts, geomagnetic storm, sun. Only going to get worse.
Across California are dealing with triple-digit temperatures. Archie's Brigida Santos is in Los Angeles with the story.
More than 40,000 lightning bolts have flashed across the Southern California sky this week.
40,000
in a 24-hour period. People have reported flashes in Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties. Rain, hail, and strong...
Rain, hail. Nothing to see here, right? Yeah. Noobs. Noobs. Pay attention.
Winds have also been reported by the National Weather Service. Along the Northern California coast, lightning strikes sparked a fire on Santa Cruz Island. In response, the local Forest Service sent smoke jumpers parachuting down to put out the flames. Tuesday morning, the National Weather Service reported 1,200 cloud-to-ground strikes and 5,800 in-cloud strikes in the San Francisco.
You see that? 40,000, nearly 40,000 lightning strikes, and whoever's counting them or how they're counting them, I have no idea. It could be much more.
Francisco Bay Area. All the activity has Californians bracing for the worst. However, the ensuing rainfall so far has totaled less than 1 inch in most places. A marine layer is now heading in, a nice reprieve from the raging wildfires that burned across the state earlier this month, including the La Tuna fire, which is the largest Los Angeles has ever seen.
Largest fire Los Angeles has ever seen. Biblical hurricanes. Massive lightning strikes. Tons of typhoons, earthquakes, Mexico 9.0. I'm going to show you in a few minutes that just west of Los Angeles there was a 6.0 in the past 24 hours. And the USGS is covering it up.
The Golden State has been in the middle of a record-breaking heat wave, leaving climate scientists scratching their heads and wondering if cooler weather will come this year.
Leaving climate scientists scratching their heads. Yeah, they need to start looking up, and maybe they won't be scratching their heads for long.
In Los Angeles, Brigida Santos, RT.
And this Fox News alert after Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, forecasters are watching yet another storm.
Amazing. Hurricane Jose is moving across the Atlantic Ocean. Meteorologist Adam Klotz in the Fox Extreme Weather Center. What can we expect, Adam?
Hey guys, we're looking at a Category 1 hurricane at this point. It's sitting right there. That is where we're looking at right now. The motion expected to do a little loop out in the Atlantic and then turn and head back towards the U.S. You do see a final turn where perhaps it looks like it's turning away, and actually most of the models are agreeing with that turning away from the U.S., but anytime you get that close, we're going to be paying very close attention to it. This is what we call our spaghetti model. So this is a whole bunch of models plotting the potential movement of this system. You see it making that loop, running up, back up along the East Coast. None of them have it actually going into the East Coast, but when you get this close,
that's not true.
Perhaps New York, Boston,
as you just saw,
you start to pay attention to
fake news.
This is taking you all the way into Sunday, so we still have a little bit of time for these to move, and we'll be paying very close attention to it. Back to what we're seeing with Irma now at this point, becoming a very widespread, large rainmaker. We're looking at rain running down into El Dorado and Arkansas, up through the Ohio River Valley and over into the Piedmont and North Carolina. So a very huge storm stretching across the entire eastern half of the country. Otherwise, folks in Florida still cleaning up. We're looking at flood watches and warnings still in several locations, mostly because of rainfall, as some of that water continues to try to get out of the region. And then look at this power, obviously, out in a lot of communities there. Forecast heat index today, plenty of spots getting up to
100 degrees in Miami.
Middle 90s. It is very uncomfortable today in the Sunshine State, so our thoughts are still with those people who don't have any power down in that region.
They're baking in the Caribbean.
Quick reaction, as you can imagine, and as you can imagine, pretty predictable coming from North Korea. An official of the regime of Kim Jong-un calling them evil, saying that North Korea would fire up yet another confrontation against the United States. U.S. allies, South Korea and Japan positive, China and Russia calling for talks. Analysts are saying they're not too sure. They say this could be just more of the same. Now, if diplomacy does fail, the U.S. and its allies, South Korea, are getting prepared at least for the military option. Take a look. What we saw, what we heard today.
Oh, boy.
This is about as close in feel as you're going to get to war on the Korean Peninsula, at least for now anyway. South Korean and U.S. Marines in a live fire exercise. Machine guns, mortars, grenades, artillery, all aiming down that valley at an armor position. Read that, North Koreans.
Now, a conventional war with the North, according to all analysts, would not be pretty. Casualty figures easily in the hundreds of thousands over tough terrain like we saw today. Now, a war in the Korean Peninsula is considered remote. The possibility exists. That's why these folks train. Take a listen to this fella.
Sure, a lot of people are focused on Peninsula, but for us, it's business as usual.
Business as usual. That's some tough business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Marine Corps is the nation's 911 force, and we're ready to answer the call.
Again, Bill, everyone we spoke today said these exercises are purely defensive. They also say they do not pay attention to the politics, the rhetoric coming from North Korea, but other people do, and that's why they.
And for more on the recent escalations in North Korea, we're joined by John Pilger, investigative journalist and documentary filmmaker. Thanks so much for joining us. And so, what are your thoughts on what the North Korean ambassador to Russia said today, that no sanctions will make North Korea change its policies, adding that North Korea's nuclear program will help his country manage the, quote, hostile policy of the U.S.? Don't you think it's just an excuse for Kim Jong-un to build up his arsenal?
Look, the problem is not North Korea, the problem is not Russia, the problem is not China, the problem is the United States.
Boom.
There have been a number of agreements in the past, 1992, 1994, between North and South Korea to denuclearize Korea. The problem is the United States, and you have to look at this broadly. The problem for the rest of the world actually now is the containment of the United States. The US used to, during the first Cold War, talk about the containment of the Soviet Union. But no, it's the containment of the United States. And frankly, it always has been. Yes, it's an unpredictable regime, but there's absolutely no doubt that if North Korea hadn't developed nuclear weapons, it would have been attacked. Or the same thing would have happened, something similar would have happened to North Korea as happened
Syria,
to Libya, Iraq, and Syria and Afghanistan.
And I want to play a clip from the House Foreign Affairs Committee who met today regarding sanctions on North Korea. Let's take a listen.
What are the strategies that the administration is pursuing that bring China to that point where they conclude that it is in their interest to enforce the sanctions, because the danger of a conflict on the peninsula is greater than their fear of some alignment by a unified Korean peninsula with the United States? Or do you agree or disagree with that assessment? And Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right, and I think we've seen the Chinese moving, in their system for them pretty swiftly toward a recalculation of what they're worried about on the Korean Peninsula. They see North Korea's actions undermining their own security through the beefing up of defenses in their region, and they're also seeing, they're certainly very alarmed at North Korea's behavior and the explosion of the 6th nuclear test, a hydrogen bomb right on their border.
So how do you see it? Will China help enforce the UN sanctions, and do you think the country feels alarmed over the recent actions coming out of Pyongyang?
No, China is mostly alarmed by the United States, not by North Korea. It's always been rather worried that North Korea might provoke the United States. But even these sanctions that have gone through the Security Council, the United Nations sanctions, China has all ways of getting around them. They use Chinese currency, Chinese firms, so they don't really work anyway. And China's main concern is that Pyongyang will provoke the United States, and that's always, historically, that's always been China's concern.
And speaking of sanctions to North Korea, why do you think the United Nations is targeting some of the country's biggest remaining foreign revenue streams, but leaving its oil alone, which clearly it would need for its huge military?
No, I don't know, frankly, and I don't think it actually matters. Because,
it doesn't.
These sanctions are just going to not work on North Korea. North Korea has over the years developed a way of life, a way of development, a way of developing its strategic weapons, knowing that it's going to be almost in a permanent state of siege. So I don't think any of these will be able to. They've stopped short at oil anyway, but North Korea will be supported by China. Yep. China just does it in a different way. They instead of dealing with Koreans, they deal with Chinese businessmen in Korea. So, like all sanctions, there are ways around them. Sanctions are irrelevant in a sense to this whole debate. What is needed is a peace treaty with North Korea between the United States and North Korea and the government in Seoul. But where it's all heading is the most worrying thing of all. And we've just seen, although it's not reported as far as I can tell in the United States,
of course not.
We've now seen a NATO document.
Pay attention.
In Germany, released by a research group there, and in several of the German newspapers, that says that the whole
spit it out
of whether NATO actually increases its nuclear weapons is the most important.
There you go.
And what this document is saying is that there is the beginning of the end of the intermediate range nuclear weapons treaty. That's the most important treaty of the old Cold.
One more time, the old Cold War treaty, since this guy can't spit it out, is going bye-bye on the ban of intermediate nuclear missiles in the United Nations. That will allow anyone in the world to develop, launch, have fun, test, do whatever they need for a nuclear holocaust.
War. Once you take that away, then you've got the real threat of nuclear war between the great powers.
Boom.
So in a way, North Korea is a sideshow to this. That's the game.
And now it's rumored that President Trump will visit China in November, and he's invited President Xi Jinping to Mar-a-Lago and has said some positive things about the president. Why do you think China hasn't really stepped in by now to try and help ease tensions between the U.S. and North Korea. Does China have too much of a stake in North Korea financially?
I think China has stepped in to ease tensions. China and Russia have a strategic plan that they put to the United States that has been dismissed out of hand, that says if the United States and the government in South Korea stop these provocative military exercises that include, as they put it, the decapitation of the Pyongyang regime, if they stop these provocative exercises, then the current testing in North Korea itself will cease. So China and Russia have actually come forward with positive plans. It's, as I said at the beginning, the real problem to all this is the containment of the world's biggest nuclear power, the United States.
All right, we are out of time.
I told everybody there was something behind them wanting North Korea and keep provoking Korea. And what that is getting rid of the UN treaty so that the United Nations can basically outright launch. Look at that. The numbers on my count, you can't see that. 116. I can actually screen share you so you can prove to you. I just came back on, looked at this screen, and it's at 116. Hang on. If I share my screen here, screen, just wait. Right there, watch. 116. There you go. Are you guys there? Why don't I see comments? Maybe everybody's paying attention tonight. That could be. Could that be? Very real, very true. So, as I've said for months, the world is never going to be the same again. Earth is never going to be the same again. The weather is never going to be the same again. Nothing is going to be the same again. And it's going to continue to spiral out of control and get worse. Sorry that it's doom and gloom, but you know what? I'd rather have people be prepared and know the truth than not be and be sheep. I'm going to be doing a show called The Sheep Effect. And I'm going to be explaining what propaganda really is and how everybody has been misled, lied to, deceived, and what is coming is not pretty. And it hasn't been pretty over the past month and getting worse. And just wait. Has anybody seen Hillary Clinton's new interview about her book with Anderson Cooper? I know many here, we all can't stand Hillary Clinton here. That doesn't mean you shouldn't watch and listen to what she has to say. You want to know why? Hillary Clinton knows what's coming. Hillary Clinton knows everything that's coming for Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton knows everything that's happening and what the special prosecutor is doing. And she's even known when she was running, especially about even a server in Donald Trump's Trump Towers, a week before it came out, actually 2 weeks before it came out. And you should listen to Hillary Clinton's interview. Everything I've been telling everybody for 7 months about Donald Trump, and it's going to cause a constitutional just landslide in this country. And they're not only going to come in and try and impeach him, but he'll pardon everybody. It's the New York State Attorney General and the uprising in this country that it's going to bring, if it gets to that point, because of what's coming our way. Comments are working now. I got them. I see them. I see your comments. Now I see your comments. It refreshed itself. I'm flying out of here early tomorrow. I have to be at the airport tomorrow by 9. I shouldn't say early, but I'll be flying out to 11 to get to Nevada. We have a very big meeting with lawyers, and I will be shooting a very special video from our large conference room in Nevada about Survival Group, about Atlas City 1, Atlas City 2, how to get into Atlas, our Survival Group, and what is coming to get into Atlas City 1 and 2. I haven't been talking about it much because we've been working on the back end and doing lots of work forming corporations, land deals, things of that nature, construction costs, and that. Time is of the essence on this planet. You don't have to believe me. People need to learn how to survive and be prepared for themselves, whether you're in an Atlas City or at your own home. And that's what Survival Group is about. I'll be doing that video, and next week you will be seeing the release of Atlas City. Of Survival Group, which is separate from Atlas City but also tied. There too. Major survival preppers network. You're going to see monetary problems as well, acutely. I can assure you, between now and New Year's, you're going to see shit like you've never seen come in this country and around the world. From all forms, politically, environmentally, space, physically, i.e. biologically, disease, and the right. Time is not on mankind's side. And when you have the smartest man on the planet telling Earth has 100 years, I think he's wrong. As we discussed last night with Dr. Claudia and Scott from Planet X News. Much less time. Sheep are going to be sheep. I want to show you now what's going to prophetically happen on September 23rd. Give me 1 second.
Be in some sort of like holographic type universe, which means when these entities interface with us, they have the ability to manipulate space, time, matter, and energy. So when we read stuff like this, war in heaven, Michael and his angels fight with the dragon, and they beat the dragon, and the dragon is cast down to earth, and it basically says, whoa, they did inhabited of earth. And then it says something which is really enigmatic in my opinion. It says that, woe to the inhabitants of earth because Satan, the dragon, it has been cast down to you, and he knows his time is short. George, he can't get back. He's stuck here. He's stuck here.
This is Coast to Coast with George Norrie. Liz, the comments work fine. I can see it.
He can't get back. He no longer has the ability to move into different dimensions.
L.A., tell us what you believe the rapture is.
Well,
and then let's talk and then we'll bring the ET possibilities into it.
The rapture is a very, it's first of all, it's a supernatural event. It defies anything that the natural man could possibly think of. The mechanics of it get into quantum mechanics. We are looking at an event that is absolutely astounding, and yet I don't think there's that many people that go with it, and I really mean that. You've got 1.8 billion Christians on the planet. But, so-called Christians in name, and I'm not going to, lay down what I think is the prerequisite. The Bible tells us that unless a person is born again and spirit-filled, they cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. And that's like a 3-hour discussion. The cliff notes of that is basically this. 37 years ago, I asked Jesus into my heart. I had no idea what I was doing when I did that. I just said, look, I don't know whether you're real or not, but come into my life. And he came into my life, and everything began to change. And I spent a lot of time in what I call the forge of the living God, where you're heated up, you're placed on the anvil, and you're basically pounded into a new shape. That process takes years. And that's what he does. And he does it to men and women. But that's what being born again and spirit-filled is. There's also something called the sin code, which every person on this planet has. And all we have to do is look at what's going on in Houston to realize that the sin code is in full operation as price gouging, $99 for a case of water, $10 for gasoline, looting, the whole deal. The criminal element immediately, and that's the sin code. In all of its, in all of its glory. The sin code raises its ugly head. So being born again and spirit-filled, that's the prerequisite. So out of that 1.8 billion Christians, how many people are really looking for this? How many people are born again and spirit-filled? I don't think it's, I don't think it's 1 billion. I don't think it's 500 million. I think it's a lot less. So that begins to cut down the population on the planet. The bottom line is this, that we are told that, behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all of us will die, but we will be changed at the last trump. The dead in Christ will rise first. And we who are alive will rise and meet the Lord in the air. And when we read that, it's beyond science fiction. I get it. It is absolutely one of the wackiest things you can possibly imagine. But this is the problem. Most people have a very truncated view of the God of the universe, and they go, well, how's that going to happen, LA? And interestingly enough, the whole other side of the aisle, a lot of the New Agers and channelers have been talking about this for decades. I've heard this even before I was a Christian. For decades, I heard that the aliens are going to come and take people off the planet. I mean, I've heard this over and over and over again. So it's on both sides of the aisle. But we're looking at a supernatural event, and let me just say this. I'll close this little thing by saying this, that there is precedent of it. We have in the scripture, and this is wacky stuff, I get it. Sure. But it's supernatural, and I'm a frank supernaturalist. So this guy, Philip, is down in this one area, and he runs into this guy, and the guy's in Ethiopia, he's on his chariot, he's reading the book of Isaiah, but he's not sure what to do. And the Spirit of the living God says, hey, go over and tell the Ethiopian what he's reading. So, Philip goes over, and he goes, hey, what are you reading? And the Ethiopian goes, I'm reading Isaiah. I don't understand what I'm reading. And he's at the 53rd chapter of Isaiah, which talks about Messiah, in my opinion. And so Philip explains all of this thing. The Ethiopian goes, this is great. I want to get baptized. And he accepts Jesus as his Savior. They go down, they get baptized, and this is where it gets...
Now, I wanted to bring you a little bit of that quickly. I believe the rapture is something totally different, and it's dimensional and and I do believe in God, and I know Jesus was the son of the Son of God, not gods. However, when you add science into religion, and you look at the facts of religion all the way back to the Sumerian tablets, all the way forward, and Genesis, and the Book of Enki, and others, we are in prophetic times, regardless of how you want to spell it out. However, whatever you want to call it, we are in prophetic times. In other words, prophesized information that is coming to light. Whether it came from Jesus, Buddha, or someone standing on the top of the Empire State Building and shouting it, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is just look at what I just showed you and have been showing you for months, and what is all around the world that you've seen on your own. And I encourage everybody to do their own research. But many people are misled by what is called propaganda. Garbage, junk, static, fake news, and the like. And believe me, I'm one who knows how rumors get started from bullshit. So regardless of what you want to call it, it's still prophetic times. In other words, been stated by someone else, either in writing or vocal and then put in writing and the like. And when you combine all the facts together and what is occurring as we speak, well, you get serious, catastrophic, cataclysmic events. And they're happening. People have been saying the word now in the past month more than ever on mainstream media and the internet, which is like biblical flooding, record-breaking heat, record-breaking this, the largest ever. And I know people want to just say it's the government playing around with electronics and and devices creating all this, but no, they're not. I mean, they are in some sense and not in the other. Okay? Doesn't work that way. Manipulating the weather? Yes. Creating oceans to rescind? No. No. Earth wobble? Yes. Sun dying? Yes. Are they creating that? No. Massive solar system coming in and intermingling in hours? No. Creating a special space force all of a sudden of the best astronauts they can find? Fact. SpaceX sending up tons of rockets with all different types of secret payloads. The Russians, the Chinese putting special rovers on the moon and telling the world, fuck you, we're not showing you anything that we're getting back information-wise. Fact. That's an early warning detection system. That's what the Chinese got up there. And the Chinese are watching all of this and not sharing it with anyone. And we can't even tap their internet because they're the only country with their own internet that they spent billions of dollars creating because they did not want the rest of the world to be able to tap into their information. I want to show you what's going on earthquake-wise, and then I'm off because it'll be 2 o'clock. I have to stay up all tonight. I have a lot of work yet to do. And I want to say to officers and board members, please check your corporate emails. We sent you a lot of things and put other shared documents in there. Just give me a second, please. I'm going into our underground group because that's where we put the information so I can grab it right from one spot. Looks like the Weather Channel has been listening to our Scott Binsack reporting, Lisa says. I have not seen this video, so we'll listen to it together.
And we've shown why methane and man may not be a good mix. Next up, will a blast from deep space be the cause of our downfall? At number 3 on our list, gamma ray burst. It's a business as usual day, with people oblivious to the deadly threat racing towards them at the speed of light.
So gamma ray bursts are the single most powerful explosion in the known universe.
Suddenly, with no warning, a searing flash splits the sky as destructive rays smash into the Earth's atmosphere.
If you're a Star Wars fan, gamma ray bursts are the universe's Death Star.
Gamma rays are a type of electromagnetic radiation produced billions of miles away in deep space. They're caused by by dying stars up to 100 times the size of our sun, or by a collision of two orbiting stars.
Gamma ray bursts are similar to nuclear blasts in that they're both giving off radiation.
These sudden bursts happen every day, sending jets of energy equivalent to trillions of atomic bombs radiating across the universe. So, what would happen if one of them hit the Earth?
It depends on distance, it depends on location, it depends on how...
This is on the Weather Channel, no less.
Some last a millisecond, some last hours.
If our worst fears came true, a direct hit on Earth from a neighboring star system could incinerate the planet.
Everything would basically burn up immediately.
Alternatively, a burst could destroy much of the ozone layer and cloak the Earth in a brown smog of nitrous dioxide, caused by a chemical reaction. The toxic haze could block 10% of the sun, plunging the world into a nuclear winter.
You can't live in this type of atmosphere that's been altered by a gamma ray burst. It could be as simple as now you can't grow food. It's as bad as not being protected from the sun's radiation and all the effects that that would entail.
At present, the chance of a gamma ray burst hitting the Earth is said to be extremely remote. Nonetheless, scientists remain vigilant.
If the worst case scenario happens...
We're getting smaller versions of something like this when we get our sun's solar flares and X flares and things of that nature. Yes, Ian, predictive programming. Smart man.
Maybe game over.
To the iconic Yellowstone National Park, where a simmering cauldron could be cooking up a disaster. At number 2, supervolcano. Yellowstone is a world-renowned nature reserve covering more than 2 million acres of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. It attracts around 3 million visitors a year, but it could also be annihilated by a supervolcano.
Yellowstone is sitting on vast amounts of molten rock, about 5 miles beneath the surface in what's called a caldera.
The Yellowstone caldera was created when there was a very large eruption. The caldera is basically the hole in the ground that formed as a result of this big eruption removing lots of material.
In Yellowstone, it's 50 miles long and 7 miles wide. And the lake of magma inside makes it the largest supervolcano in the world.
A volcano is called a supervolcano.
And that's that. The Rothschild publication predicts the New World Order will be in place by 2018. The magazine is the controlling interest by the Rothschilds, just so you know. And I predict they are correct. This is a great video for you to everybody to watch. It's too long for me to watch on here, but it's the physician's report from Dr. Albers, health effects of geomagnetic storms. There is a lot that come from geomagnetic storms. Stephen shared this large sinkhole in Florida, and there'll be more coming from this as well. I'm wondering why I'm trying to get to what I want to show you, and Facebook is frozen up as usual. That's kind of bizarre. Let me go into the discussion group. There I am. No, that's the other show. Okay. Now I can see you guys. You can see me. Now let me fix this again. It's always something. I'm getting new streaming software, just like Fox and CNN and everybody else use. So that should be in place by next week. I'm not going to this. I'm going to go to the one that I want to. Scott put up a very good show. You can check it out on Planet X News. My investigation leads me to believe that Planet X is here now. I agree. 1,000%. This, very key. You see this here in going on. Okay? I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. That is plasmatic energy right here. And I believe it is our sun interfering with our sun interfering, or excuse me, not interfering, but connecting with another brown dwarf. And that's what you're seeing right there in this video. September 10th. Serious portal, so to speak. You can see it jumping between the two, and that's what it does, is send from one to the other. Stop right there, you can see it. It's not just the clouds of one object coming through, it is two. Okay? No joke. You know what amazes me? Where people on here need about 10,000 opinions before they can get the truth. I don't know how much more okay? That's not a triangle UFO. That is the sun interacting with another sun. That is exactly what that is. Just because the sun is so far away doesn't mean we're not going to see this type of effect down here in our atmosphere. I don't know what it is with people. How many more videos do people have to see of anomalies in the sky? How many more sun captures from the SETI or, other instruments in space do you have to see? How many more massive storms and changes on Earth do you have to see before you get it through your head? Sheep. I'm doing a special show, I'm telling you. And it's called, I have it, The Sheep Effect. The Sheep Effect. Liz, I do not know what's wrong with the comments. It's Facebook. Sorry. Okay? What is it with people? Sheep. How much people have got to continue to see something until it's right up their ass, and it's too late before they say, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yikes. Don't worry, we'll take care of it tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's going to be no fucking tomorrow. You can keep going on. This is a live video. You can see it happening. And it interferes with our magnetosphere. You know that thing we just keep discussing? This, right here. This magnetosphere. Our jet stream detected in Earth's outer core, iron, made out of iron. This goes into the theory of a possible hollow Earth and Earth's magnetic field to try to understand its magnetics and electronics. Okay? It's not this gravity, everything gravity is that we were discussing with the doctor last night. It's not about gravity, it's about magnetism, magnets, iron, radiation, magnets, magnetic portals that hold Earth in place from the sun. Earth, moon in place. Same thing. As that gets weaker and interrupted, same thing with all the planets. You have problems. They change. People seem to forget that we are a big blue marble basically floating out in the middle of nowhere, connected to the sun. It's like, it works just like a machine and an engine. You understand? One gets power from one thing to the other, except there's no gas. The gas is fueled by magnetics. Just amazing. Just amazing. Can play some more. I just showed you at the beginning of the video a serious planetary object captured in Guatemala from yesterday in the middle of the day. That is the system. I just showed you factual information of what is going on by FEMA, the government, and the likes. You have 2 zones of FEMA activated now with Marines in both areas, still collectively millions without power. The Caribbean islands, a lot of them destroyed completely. Massive going on in Mexico, Japan. I showed you all the hurricanes happening in typhoons across the planet. I showed you an erratic jet stream that's out of the blue, like just massively erratic, which can only happen from the magnetosphere and the change in our atmosphere. How many more reflections do you have to see of an odd sun and then what's behind it? You see the striped object behind it? That's what you're seeing here, is a reflection of a lens flare of what's behind the sun. Let's see what Anonymous has to say. You hear that? That's a freight train. That's complete destruction. Look at the transformers blowing.
Of the nation. Make no mistake about it, Hurricane Irma was quite deliberately geoengineered as a highly destructive and deadly superstorm, just as Hurricane Harvey was. The NWO globalist cabal has ordered the geoengineers to fabricate this Frankenstorm as a direct threat to President Donald J. Trump and his administration. Key point: it's no meteorological accident that both Texas and Florida are getting assaulted by geoengineered weather warfare. Both states are as red as rooster's comb and served as major staging areas for the Trump movement during the 2016 campaign season. The Patriot movement is also getting clobbered by the record fires in Montana, Idaho, and Washington.